Hi guys, what is up and welcome back to the Emerge Elite podcast. It is Emily speaking. Hope you're having a beautiful Tuesday morning. Right, this time we're going to go a little bit more businessy because I thought there was a whole I did the whole your mind frame, do it with passion, accountability, I've done all that at the minute. And for episode 7, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go with probably the thing that I am asked the most over the course of 2 years. This isn't like, I get asked this every day that some people say and they don't actually get asked it at all. How to start a business. I get asked a lot with Emerge Elite, like how did I start? What were the first steps that I did? Getting clothing and stuff like that. So I was like, I'll put it down in a podcast. I mean, I probably, we're not going to get it all covered in one podcast, but it's good just to start the fundamentals with you. What do you actually need to start with? So for me, I came up with the idea of having a business after my blog. I had a blog called Topping of the Cake. And it was about my weight loss journey, and it was something that I was doing to keep myself accountable for what I was doing. I'm kind of that human being. That's kind of how I work. So if someone makes me accountable for it, if they hold me up to it, then I'm more likely to do it. It's a weird thing. I don't need any self-motivation, I can do things myself. But essentially I had got to that point, which I think a lot of people do, where, you try and lose weight all the time or you just try and get fit, and I wasn't able to do it kind of by myself. So I started writing a blog to keep myself accountable for it. That fell through because in 2015 I just had a really shitty year. It's one of those it's one of those years that I bet you in years to come I'll be like, that was my defining year, because just stuff happened, and mentally I was just figuring myself out. It's no one's fault or anything. I had to be me. I had to learn to be me and how to act and things like that. It's nothing that we need to talk about now. And then it was in the latter part of summer 2016, where I came up with the idea that I wanted a business. And the first thing that I thought of was a fitness business. I wanted something that kind of was like what I had before, but in a physical form. And I was I remember saying to someone and being I just want to make something that is a community for people who are just trying to better themselves. And that's where Emerge Elite came. And the first thing that I did was I got the name incorporated. So I think it was November 2016 we got the name incorporated. So it looked like we were in business from November 2016. We weren't. Which was very fun, having to tell the government that, even though they still fined me. That's another thing that I learned. Just fucking, taxes and shit, just pay them. I didn't know what I was doing at the beginning, and I made a few mistakes, and just if they say you've got taxes to pay, just fucking tax them. Just do it. Saves you a lot of rigmarole. So I got it incorporated, and I started working on ideas and such of what I wanted it to look like. I did the typical yes, okay, it's Emerge Elite. How are we going to best broadcast that? So we came up with our logo, which is actually the logo that is on this podcast. The United Kingdom was actually added literally last minute. I think I wanted to do that just to kind of show where it's coming from, to be honest. Then we needed to source some clothing. So for me, that was the easiest part because I didn't do it. My ex did it. So she was in promotional merchandising, so she did it for me. I essentially really didn't need to do anything, which was a bit of a bonus because it took a lot of stress off you, because then you could focus on everything else. So we got that, we got the clothing in. At the beginning, I only got 50 snapbacks and 100 t-shirts. So it's not a lot. I think the investment in total was just over £1,000. So this is things you need to think about. So when you get incorporated, you're looking at up to, I'm not saying it is, you're up to £100 just to get the thing incorporated. I think it's like £13 to get the name like registered on Companies House. So it's not a lot of money to do things like that, but to do everything together, you know, like buy your domain name, you know, buy your website name, buy probably an email to go with it, whether like mine's just like Emily Topping at Emerge Elite. So you know, you had to do things like that. Then, so I'd probably think, you know, about £100 you want to put towards just getting all of those like fundamental things done. Then after that, you're looking at your product. So in a way, I took a slightly more expensive way. I would say now, looking into what I buy now, I mean, guaranteed my quantities have gone up quite a lot. So there's the difference of that. But I did it for the security. I knew that if anything went wrong or if any of them were like, you know, damaged or anything, I was able to like turn around to the company and just be like, look, this isn't right. And then I think I did it quite cheap. I have since launching and since helping other businesses and stuff, I've seen how much you can actually spend on getting yourself set up. There's people that I know that have invested like 25 grand, 13 grand, stuff like that. But if you just want to start from a very small community and stuff like that, you know, maybe £1.5 grand. So we're at like £1.5 grand now. Now, that's probably the parts that people do not ask me about, but to me is kind of the fundamental part of it. Like if you do not have that sort of money saved, and I would probably double that, so you can obviously marketing, photography, website building, stuff like that. I wouldn't get started. Most people ask me like kind of, how did I get people to buy it? Which is a standard thing for people to do. People do it all the time. They're like, no, I don't really care about what you had to do in order to make it legal. I just want to sell shit. And that's kind of it's the wrong mentality to have, I'm not going to lie. I was quite fortunate in the beginning that I was doing a bit of YouTube. I wasn't really that active on social media yet. I had to learn all of these sort of things. So I had quite a few friends, a few people that I knew from YouTube who were following like my journey and all this kind of stuff. So I had probably, on launch day, I think we had between 7 and 10 orders on the first day, which for me was a lot better than I thought. I was like, I didn't think it would go that well. And you're probably thinking now, oh, Emily, 7 to 10 orders on a £20 like t-shirt, like, oh my God, that's nothing. But it kind of is. Because it's still, at the end of the day, you know, that is for me quite a substantial, you know, like I was making it probably £160 on the first day, which, you know, isn't a lot when you've just invested a lot of time and money, considering we started the journey in November and we only launched the following July. It's just you know, it's just what you have to do. But the difference that I had, which I probably wouldn't recommend to people, but I think it shows if you actually want to do it or not, is that I didn't build much of a social presence. I didn't invest into much marketing. I did all my photography myself. I tried to make it as cheap as possible, so when I got cheaper results, you can't be angry about it. You just can't be. Going forward from that, though, that when we did launch, and then it was like, I think it was like the first week we had, you know, in and out people, you know, coming and buying and stuff, and kind of people that I presumed would come and buy because, you know, like I either spoke to them on Facebook and Instagram or YouTube, you know, like I was actively involved with them. There was there wasn't even two. There was like one person who I didn't really know, and they bought a t-shirt, and, you know, that kind of fueled me forward. Then I realized that I really needed to fucking like work now. Like it was like, before it was stressful just to make sure that everything was legal and above board. Then it got difficult. Then it got into the point where it was like, shit, like now I need to get people to be interested. But it's like, the first thing that I thought about wasn't, I've got to get people interested so they buy my shit. I was like, I need to get people interested so they know what I'm doing. Which was very different from what people keep asking me. Like, people keep asking me, like, how do you convert sales and stuff? Like, believe me, now, you know, nearly 2 years later, converting sales is easier. But you know why? Because more people know about my brand, more people talk about my brand, and they know the motto of the brand. So, like, that social reach that we've worked on for 2 years has helped. So I invested quite a bit of time and money and things into my social media. And it was very much like, that was when I started like reading and stuff, and I started buying books about social media and how to influence people and all this kind of stuff. The concept at the end of the day is, and this is how I honestly think about it, I am a small business. I still am considered a small business. And I have a £20 t-shirt. I mean, of course, we've got more stuff now. But I have a £20 t-shirt. For £22, you could go to Nike, who's a well-established brand. They've been around for years. Everyone fucking loves them. You go and say Nike to someone, they're probably going to reply with, yeah, just do it. So their branding is perfect. It's done exactly what it needs to do. So for maybe only a little bit less, why should someone, and this is what I want you to consider if you're going to start a business, why would someone want to invest into your business? Right. For me, personally, my biggest turning moment was when I realised that I was now a brand. It wasn't just Emerge Elite. It was Emily Topping. Emily Topping was a brand. And it was really weird because when I started out business, I did not want to be a personal brand at all. I just didn't want it. I didn't want people to know who I was, and like I would walk down the street and people would recognise me. I didn't want it. Not saying that happens a lot, just by the way. You know, it's happened once and it freaked me out. And it was in the gym. And you know, like it's that sort of thing. And I didn't, you know, like this podcast probably wouldn't have happened because I wouldn't have wanted to become a personal brand. You know, my own photography business, my own social media marketing business, like these wouldn't have happened if I didn't try Emerge Elite. So what I would like for you guys to take out of this, if anything, is like, this is like the first like 3 steps basically to starting a business. And this is before you even look at numbers and look at money. And that last step is like, who are you as a person? Can you be a personal brand to yourself? Will people, if they get to know you, want to invest into you? And that's how I've been able to do it. People, if you've got here, it's 13 minutes in, you know, like some people like listening to me talk, and I don't know why. Maybe I have something decent to say. But that's where you need to get to. And, you know, like, We'll delve deeper onto this subject, you know, as the podcast develops and stuff. But those are like the first 3 things. If you're willing to invest, I would say like probably. So mine was like $1,500, and then double it. So like I had $3,000 to play with. If you haven't got that sort of money and that's doing it for cheap, don't probably do it right now. Maybe use the cheaper options, which is developing your personal brand, you know, like developing yourself on social media, that people show interest, and you know that if you were to invest £3,000, you could make £2,000 of it back quite easily. That's kind of the way that I would go about it. That would be probably the thing that I would do differently, is I probably would have spent from November to the following July not worrying about how my website looked and stuff, but kind of like who freaking knew about me. That would be the slight difference I would have. So yeah, right, I'm gonna finish it there. I've had you here for like 14 minutes now. Have a great day, guys. If you want to hear more about this, remember my Instagram is Emily Topping. The business one is Emerge Elite Ltd. If you want to comment or DM me or talk or something, just contact me on there. That's probably the easiest way to get in contact with me. Otherwise, you can search both my name and the company name on Facebook, and we are there too. And I will speak to you guys soon. Have an amazing day, I love you lots and lots and lots, like jelly tots, and speak soon.